Hello, this is Adam Began, and I'm the host of Historically Haunted Show, where I talk about some very rare historical and haunted locations that I visited. I also interview some of the very best in the paranormal and cryptozoology field. So tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Paranormal King Radio Network. And prepare to be educated about the unknown. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another great episode of the Historically Haunted Show right here on Paranormal King Radio Network, the network with the mostest. No big surprise. Obviously, I was off last week for the Easter weekend, and I have a great guest next week. But this week is just me, and I kind of chose that. I actually was going to take the week off because I haven't really had much time off. The only time I have off is holidays, and of course, on my Historically Haunted vodcast on Saturdays. And I've had a rough week. I've had a lot of car trouble. I've had a pop tire in the rain on Easter, and my battery and my brakes are going, and a bunch of bad stuff. But I'm going to work through that because I absolutely love this network. I love this radio show. I love being able to talk about my shit that I want to talk about, that I'm into, and I'm glad you guys are all into it too. So thank you so much for Bruce Bartley for tuning in, George Cannon, the boss Ross King, my girl Witchin, Heather Kiminiti, Nicole, Betsy Lou, what's up, Betsy? Charles Fulton, Hawk Johnson, all around, Woodsman, and Cryptic Seeker. Pleasure. Welcome aboard, my friend Earl Morgan, and of course, UFO Fred Richards from Maine. So yeah, guys, it's basically just going to be me. So hopefully you guys stay tuned, and hopefully you guys are enjoying your week. It was a nice day and the whole nine, and feel free to ask me questions. You know, having a radio show, like I said, is fun. But I feel like 90% of the time you're talking about your guest. And I really don't care if I sound selfish, but I like to talk about me, especially when I got a lot of shit going on and I want to promote my shit. So this hour is going to be about me, and you guys can go ahead and ask questions, and I'll try to get to them as I go. But I do want to talk about where Heather Witchin came in 80, a Witchin Life Guide show here on Paranormal King Radio Network every other Thursday. It's my girlfriend of 4.5 years now. We went for the first time to the Vaughan Woods Historic Homestead in Hallowell, Maine. Hallowell, for those you mostly don't know, isn't exactly a big town in Maine. It's very old and historic. It's right underneath the capital, or right next to the capital of Maine, Augusta. Now, Hallowell's got a lot of cool features, a lot of old buildings. They got a quarry, rock quarry to go swimming in, and good stuff like that. But they have this woodstead called the Vaughan Woods Historic Woodstead, but it's dubbed Hobbit Land. And after I tell you pretty much about it, you'll understand why. But first and foremost, the Vaughan family, you can look into it. They were slave owners back in the mid to late 1800s. They owned some slaves out in Jamaica on a sugarcane field, believe it or not, and made their money. And they were actually from the South area. I believe they're from like Rhode Island or even Massachusetts, or a little bit south of Maine. But they bought this homestead in Hallowell, which I believe back then was still, well, it might have been Maine already, because Maine was a town in 1820. A state. But they bought the land, and their son lived there pretty much off the land, and him and his wife lived there, and they have it's like 54 acres out back. The homestead's still there. It's a museum. You can visit it, but it's more or less like, not permission only, but you know what I mean. You gotta go there when they're opens for the season. So you go to the land, right? And you start walking around the land, and of course you gotta check for ticks and all that shit. And there's wild animals. So me and Heather start walking, a couple joints in hand, and we made a day of it. Nice day. She had her walking stick, my little witch. Witch with a W, by the way. And we go down, and you start seeing these old school bridges, like these rock bridges. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, you probably saw some of my pictures. It's pretty wild. It's it's literally like Hobbit Land. It's like something out of the Shire that you would see out of like Harry Potter or whatever, or not Harry Potter, but like I can't think of the name, Lord of the Rings type stuff. You know, like the Shire. And so there's these bridges and there's little streams going underneath them, and it flows downhill into the major brook or the major river that goes through there, aptly named the Vaughan River. And it's got like this 1840 bridge, the High Arch Bridge. I'm sure if you guys have seen my Facebook page, like I said, you've probably seen it. I do have the video. Thank you for sharing, Witchin. Of course, you're right on top of that. I'm actually in New Hampshire tonight. Heather's in Maine. That's not the High Arch Bridge, but that is one of the bridges. That's a pretty one. That's right by the dam. Trying to find that one. I have the name of it somewhere. Shoot, looking up in my book. I'm looking through my phone. Actually, it's the best part about being on radio is that you don't have to be caught looking at your phone. I have that bridge somewhere. I forget the name of that one, but there's a High Arch Bridge, and then there's the Uncle Sam's Bridge, which is broken in half. Heather walked to the end of it. It's like a little tiny bridge, and then there's the Stickney and Page Dam, which the river flows over, and there's pictures of me in front of that, which is pretty wild. It's pretty cool. It's yeah, you start going up and there's trees everywhere, and there's just this crazy brook that flows, and there's like some pallet type bridges. I actually hit underneath one like a troll. It was kind of cool. But they've been walking in this land for over 100 years, this family and shit, and it's pretty wild. And like I said, they call it Hobbit Land because the stone bridges are just incredible. Like you'd want to camp out there, live there. It's very, very pretty, very, very majestic. The water flows. It's cold water, and it flows real quick like a current. You can almost take a tube through it, you know. And it's got a couple walking paths. And the best part is it's free. You know, I don't know so much about haunted. I'm sure that some people may have passed away out there for all I know. I don't know about any monsters or anything like that either. But it's definitely historic and definitely beautiful and tranquil. You're right, Fred. Great shot. That is a good shot of the hall. I'm sure you've been there, Fred. I know you're a Maine boy. Or at least you hang around Maine a lot. So yeah, check out Vaughan, Vaughn, Vaughan Woods / Hobbit Land or Hobbitville, Maine, in Hollowell. It's basically like Halloween, but it's Hollowell, Hallowell. And it's got there's a lot of cool spots out there. So that was cool. We went to that this week. We ventured into that this past week or two before Easter. And that was a lot of fun. And actually right before that, we went to the day before because we had to bring out some Girl Scout cookies out there. This last year as a Girl Scout leader. But we ended up going to the Randolph Trail in Randolph, Maine. Now, that's actually, it's funny because there's Hollowell, Augusta, then Randolph, and that's on the other side. And Randolph actually goes on the same river that AMHI is on, which is the Augusta Mental Health Institute. And that place has seen over 1,700 deaths. That's a big gray mental asylum in Augusta. I've been to that a couple times, never been in it. But that bridge, by the way, that Heather shared, it's called the Driving Bridge, like driving a car, Driving Bridge, and that's on the Hollowell Woods. That is from the name. But anyway, so we went to Randolph, and in Randolph, Maine, like Rudolph, but with an A, Randolph, there's the Narrow Gauge Trail. People that may know old school stuff, Narrow Gauge is an old school railroad. It's like a tiny railroad people used to use to haul lumber. They had it in a lot of states. I think Oregon even had it. But there's a lot of them there. And so this is an old trainway, and it carried people from the banks of Augusta and Randolph and kind of Gardner. Gardner's right there too as well. And it brought them to Augusta, to Togus, which is the hospital and basically like, it's like where the vets go, the people that have been in war and stuff, that go to get their medication and if they're sick and stuff. So it brought a lot of people on there. Some people died along the way. So it's a walking trail now. The rails are gone and there's no sign of a train at all, but it's a very cool trail. But the mystique about this trail is, and we heard about it when we got there from our good friends Kim and Nick Cates from 207 Paranormal in Maine, formerly of its Haunted Crew, my old team. Back in 2004 or 5, I believe, if you look it up. It's on YouTube too. There's a thing about the Randolph Narrow Gauge Trail on YouTube, and it talks about this guy who was let go of AMHI because they kind of closed down the mental institute and let these people just roam free. So he was homeless and he lived on the trail, collected his Social Security check, and he rode his bike around town. It was called Bicycle Larry, and he was missing his check for like a month or two, and then they finally put out like a wanted or missing persons thing for him. Well, it turns out his friend that was also escaped, or I'm not saying, I'm sorry, but let go of of yes, VA hospital and cemetery at Togus. So anyway, this train went up there, but this missing guy, his friend who was also a vagabond, called his sister and left a message on the voicemail on the answer machine saying, "I killed Bike Larry last night, my friend. So now I feel bad, and I'm going to go join my maker and join Larry. And if anybody wants to know where his body is, he's by the river on Randolph, on the narrow gauge trail in Randolph." So they never found the body or the bike of this guy. And that guy that left the message that said he killed this guy hung himself the next day. So this guy's a missing person. If you look, Maine State Police were set up for like 6-7 days on this trail looking for this dude by the whole thing in the river. So Heather and I and Nick and Kim go on here looking for a dead person / ghost story / just nature walk because it's fun. Plus the history of the train is amazing. Not to mention there's like a murder out there. So we end up seeing this pile of fucking cars like from the 60s and 50s. You can ask Heather. Heather, am I right? Probably about 30 or 40, maybe 50, 60 even cars, all in pieces like it's an old landfill, just tires everywhere, glass from old Mercuries, old sedans, old 56 coupes and shit. And next thing you know, there's just trees around everywhere. Like where the fuck these cars are just airdropped from the land. It's like where they pushed down the hill and trees grew up. Very, very weird. And I looked up, there's no talk about a city, like a dump or nothing like that. It was so fucking unbelievable. And of course I'm walking on it and it's bouncing because I'm stepping on the springs of the seats and shit that are underneath the dirt, man. I tell you, it was pretty wild. Thanks, King. We stumble on this stuff. And Betsy watched the video live. There was a lot of cars. King, I appreciate you you saying that you love my adventures for me and Heather, because we do. We travel a lot. We look for, and it's unknown. This is stuff that's not really known. You know what I mean? It's stuff people don't talk about a lot. This poor soul's been missing for over 10 years, and people walk on this trail with their dogs, and the dogs just shit on this trail every day, and his body could be 10 feet underneath you. So it's kind of neat. You could be helping someone, and maybe you'll see his ghost up there telling you where his body is one day. So there's a lot of things that this is for the history. Try to find a missing person and solve possibly a murder, or help solve a murder, and then possibly find a ghost, let alone we found a junkyard to boot. And we get a lot of exercise because the trail's like 8 miles long. So, but yeah, Central Maine, Upper Maine is really cool. Thank you, Nicole. Nicole Gaspard is Real Haunted Connection show on Paranormal King Radio Network. She's also one of the newest members of the Warren Legacy Foundation with me. I'm actually the newest coined member that I can see. If the Warren Legacy Foundation is run by Chris McKinnell, he is the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren. He is the son of Judy Warren, who was portrayed in Annabelle 3. I met Chris McKinnell. Me and Heather did back in 2019, 3 months after my mom passed away, and 4 or 5 months after Lorraine Warren passed away. We met them. We went to Monroe, Connecticut, because I got some money when my mom died, and I wanted to meet Annabelle and them. And when I got some tickets for me and Heather, we went down, get a pet-friendly hotel for our dog, Athena Sky, the bulldog. And we had a night with Annabelle at Roberto's Italian restaurant. It was a max of 100 people, sold out. And we get to go in there and we get to meet Judy Warren, obviously, but she's married to Tony Spera now, and Tony runs NESPR, New England Society for Paranormal and Psychic Research. And so we met all of them. I met Chris Galorian, Dan Rivera, Pluto. I met all of the whole cast. And we get to have dinner. And then they talked about a bunch of cool stuff that they went through, how they got there, old shows. Then they show the exorcism of Maurice Thibodeau, Thibodeau, I think. Now, he was featured in Satan's Harvest. I read that book. He was from a farm in Maine, up north Maine, growing potatoes. And his father used to sexually molest him and beat him and stuff. And he ended up moving out to Massachusetts, and he got possessed out there in Massachusetts when he was living with his wife and kids. You got to read the book. I don't want to spoil the whole thing. It's fantastic. But long story short, Ed and Lorraine were there, as well as Chris McKinnell, the grandson, and Tony, and they show the video, and this dude was crying. He was taped to the chair crying, and he's there, and they're like, Maurice, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, Maurice, no, Maurice. And he fucking cried, like drooled, and you see it clear, and then it hits his white shirt, and his shirt automatically turned to blood. The spots of his tears and drool and saliva was fucking blood spots, and you see his eyes rolling back. We watched this video as we're trying to swallow like lasagna, you know what I'm saying, with fucking the whole war, and like these people that made all these horror, known for everything. We're trying to watch this real exorcism with that, and there's priests around us and bishops, and me and Heather are just some stoners from Maine going, what the fuck did we do? Pretty wild shit. So then Annabelle came out, and they had frankincense and myrrh, and they said a prayer. And I mean, Annabelle, for those of you that saw her at the Warren Con, it's there's nothing like it. You can have all these, everybody's got a fake doll. Everybody's got a fucking doll. Oh, this my Barbie doll moved, and well, that doll's haunted. I don't buy that bullshit. I'm sorry. There's Robert the doll, and there's fucking Annabelle, and I'm sorry. I don't believe much else. I got to see it to believe it. And the stories, the videos, the stuff that I've seen on Annabelle, I've never seen a 7 foot tall, maybe not 7 foot tall, but it's sitting down, but it's got to be 5 foot tall, 6 foot tall, and Raggedy Ann doll. And the lore of this thing and how long it's been around, and Lorraine used to hold it and carry it around. None of your fucking dolls impress me. I don't care who's listening. You all got haunted shit. None of that matters to me. I could literally like hold up this fucking Gatorade bottle and tell everybody tomorrow it's haunted, and bet you half you guys would believe me. So you got to do your research and look into it. And I've seen the real shit. I've been to the Warren Occult Museum I've seen the Conjuring mirror and the dinosaur used in Conjuring 3, and I've met bishops, and I've shaken hands with the guy who's Plato, the exorcist for the Vatican, dude. Like he's the exorcist for Nesper. If these dudes aren't fake, and if they are, they're the top of the fucking line. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying they're better than anyone or I'm better than anyone, but like I'm in this I'm in this to find out answers. Find out where my grandfather who died in front of me is, my mom who died when I died. Where do I go? How come I heard my mom when I died for 36 seconds in that car accident last year? So I'm not just in it because I don't want to make fucking movies or have all that shit. I'm in it to learn answers and to meet the real people that give a shit and want to help people. And it's real, and I believe it and respect it fully. And for those of you that don't and stuff, that's killer. More power to you. Of course, I'm more of a historian. I love the history and research, but at the same time, man, it's all good. I don't have time for bullshit gimmicks and little fucking clicks and whatever people do that are into. Like, more power to them. They want to watch all these shows, but I just don't have time for that shit, especially after what I've been through. I just don't, and it's getting me where it's got me. I mean, I got my own radio show out of it, so it's all about knowing what you're going to do and being able to back it up instead of not just talking a big thing and wearing fucking necklaces and skull and crossbone t-shirts and reeking of cologne and saying you're an expert, because that's bullshit. Okay. Yeah, they get lost in that. Like Heather said, if I don't see your question, go ahead. I'm kind of going off on a rant here. So if I don't see it, go ahead and ask it. Adam, what's your ultimate favorite cryptid? Betsy Lou, what's my ultimate favorite cryptid? That's a great question. That's funny. When I was a kid, obviously, it was Bigfoot. That's all I really knew. Then as I got older, you start hearing about Mothman and the Jersey Devil and Loch Ness Monster and, Nessie and all that shit. And then, of course, being on the East Coast, I learned about the Dover Demon and the Wendigo, and all that stuff's great. But I love this band, all right? This band called Acid Witch. My friend Scott turned me onto. They're from Detroit. And they have a song called The Nain Rouge. And the Nain Rouge translates to Red Dwarf. And it's basically this little red dwarf that appears in Detroit when there's times of trouble, kind of like Mothman does. They don't know if it's because he's bringing it or it's because he's warning people. But I like the Nain Rouge, Nainrouge, I think. Yeah, sounds right. But yeah, they had a song about him, so that's turned me on to him. I really like the Nain Rouge. I really want to know more about him. But honestly, the Wendigo, because he's appeared in so much Stephen King stuff. He's known to be in Maine, where I'm from. So I really dig the Wendigo. That's a tough one. I love them all. I gotta see Mothman. I'd love to go to Jersey and see the devil. I'd love to go to Dover and see the demon. I love the Bridgewater Triangle. That's got some cryptids in it. Sea cryptids are cool. There's Cassie, Cassie, the Casco Bay sea serpent. That's here in Maine. I've seen off the coast, where there's also been like ghost ships, pirate ships, even Viking ships have been seen, mermaids. So, I mean, I love mermaids too. Like, I love mermaids. Like, me and Heather watched The Lighthouse the other day when the guy was having sex with a mermaid. It's pretty funny. Not funny. It was just definitely odd. But Yeah, that's a good question, Betsy. I love all cryptids. It's hard. It's like having kids. It's hard to name your favorite one, right? And of course, going to the International Cryptozoology Museum, it's the first and only one ever in the world. Now, actually, there is two because they've expanded to Bangor, which I haven't gone to yet. But the first and only one is in Portland, where they have an 8-foot tall Sasquatch figure, and they got a lot of footprints of different stuff. It's run and owned by Lauren Coleman. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lauren Coleman is probably the Ed Warren of cryptozoology. He's hunted pterodactyls, Bigfoots, sea monsters, sea serpents, Wendigos. He's the man. Me and Heather, he's not doing too well right now. He's had some health issues. He was actually supposed to be my guest a month ago, but he's having health issues. So hopefully we'll have him on at some point. But he's been on documents, he's been on TV shows, he's been on Unsolved Mysteries, you name it. He's been looking for a lot of shit. Lauren Coleman, man, I got a selfie with him. He's good. He actually came up to me and Heather at the Paracon in Portland. He's like, Adam Began, can I get a picture? I go, are you kidding me? I said, there's no way. Like, Lauren Coleman wants a picture with me, you know. He's definitely the Hodags. Hodags are fucking, that's pretty wild too. Hawk Johnson, all around woodsman and cryptic seeker. You know your shit, obviously, it's in your name, unless you were literally born with that, which I highly doubt. But yeah, I mean, everybody says pugwudgies because they're fun to say, or what's the other one there? The one from Mexico. I forget the other one from Mexico. What is the oldest cemetery you found? Well, Nicole, it's funny. The oldest cemetery, the oldest civilized cemetery where people aren't family that are buried there and aren't Native Americans. The first two are in Massachusetts. The first one, I believe, is in Duxbury, or is it Dansbury? Correct me if I'm wrong there. But the second oldest one is in Salem, and I've been there. I haven't been to the other one yet, but Salem's burial ground. Richard Moore, he was a pilgrim on the Mayflower. He's buried there. Judge Hawthorne from the witch trials is buried there. There's also a grave out back that supposedly fell through to a restaurant in the basement that was in a casket, fell through the wall. Kid's a coffin. But if you look it up, yes, Salem burial ground is this America's second oldest, and that's 1626. And there's, like I said, there's pilgrims there and all that stuff. There's some in Plymouth. There's a lot in Maine. Maine's oldest is 1638 Eastern Cemetery. I've been there, or maybe 1868. Or I'm sorry, it might be 1668. I forget. It's really old, but it's got two sea captains there that killed each other in battle in 1775. The year that America became America was 1776. So the British were at Maine's Harbor, which was Massachusetts Harbor, and two captains, a British captain and an American captain, killed each other. That was my profile picture for a while because they're two above ground crypts. And I'm in between them, like telling them to calm down, like I'm separating them because their spirits are seen at night in the cemetery, swashbuckling and telling each other, fighting each other. And there's a British flag on one, an American flag on the other. And me and Heather got a tour of that because Longfellow's parents are buried there. Edward Preble's buried there. The man that coined the phrase "man the torpedoes" in the Navy, he's buried there. Who else? There's a bunch of people buried there, famous people from Maine. So it actually burnt down too, because Portland, where the cemetery is, Portland is burned down actually 3 times. It burned down that year with the British, with cannonballs and different, setting the houses on fire. The natives burnt it before then, I believe in like the 1500s. And then in like the late to mid 1700s, maybe, that sounds about right. Some kids burnt it down. Oh, okay. So, it was like 1815 or something. Some kids burnt it down during the 4th of July at a warehouse because it was originally named Casco, which is why it's Casco Bay. Then it was renamed Falmouth after the fire, which there's another Falmouth now because then it was renamed Portland. There's that picture, Heather. Thank you. You rock. That's me between the fucking sea captains' graves. The one on the left is the British. The one on the right, if you guys can check and see that, is the American. And they killed each other in battle. It's called the triple grave because on the right, there's an American, like a ship captain's friend or whatever. Not friend, I'm trying to think, whatever the fuck it's called. Like a shipmate. He died in the scuffle too, but these are the two captains. But it's actually a triple grave. And but these two are seen fighting at night. That's great. Heather's right on top of that. Out back, that's an old former school building that's now an apartment complex. It's right on the edge of the graveyard. That's killer that you got that. That's fucking making me laugh. 1800 cemeteries. Yeah. Well, the West Coast, like I said, it wasn't really established. I'm sure the cemeteries that are older, Native American cemeteries, and of course, Mexican, Aztec, Inca, all that stuff, cemeteries. But as far as American civilized cemeteries, East Coast has got you beat all day. You can ask Witchin, Heather, you can't drive down Maine or New Hampshire or Vermont, I'm sure, for basically without seeing a family plot cemetery, every fucking couple hundred miles. That's why I'm at 153 cemeteries on Facebook, or more. Actually, I'm at more than that. I got 153 cemeteries, but then I got more like Atlas Obscura finds and like Ed and Lorraine Cemetery. Those are all different. And like, the old school cemeteries, I consider those historic. Those are different too. But just plain Jane, which I mean with respect, but average cemeteries or whatever. Yeah, I've been pretty much almost 200 at this point. 1 mile road will have 4 or 5 plots. That's true. We'll drive about a mile and you'll see 4 or 5 different plots, not super big ones. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you see there'll be ones, all Smiths, which actually is kind of cool. I'm glad you said that. Great questions, guys. Too. I'm glad you guys are paying attention and listening, because I got all this fucking info and a lot of people don't care to hear it. So for the ones that want to hear it, like until I write a book, fuck it. I just don't want people stealing my shit, because I will fucking flip out if people steal my ideas. Because I work hard endlessly on researching these places and doing stuff. And I know I don't own the rights, but I don't want to give out all this information just to have someone go and shoot a movie and charge everybody $60 a head to have a slice of pizza and sit with them for 3 hours there, because I'll fucking get paid before that happens. Be a tour guide, my brother. You love your history. King, you know what's funny? Johnny Lowell, he's the owner of Andy's Pub in the Old Port. When I did the haunted tour walks in Portland right before COVID with Chris Sanders, I wore the mask and stuff. I did tours in Portland, man, historical tours, and I get tips. And this one guy tipped me on the foodie tour, because there was a bunch of food people, Johnny Lowell, and he tipped me $20. And he goes, I've lived in this city and I've never knew half the shit you told me. He goes, my bar's haunted, by the way. So I ended up going to his bar and talk with him. And where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So, real quick. Yeah, I got to bring it up because he's got a bar that's a ghost named Betsy, just like Betsy Lou. She works, this store is right next to Casco Variety. It's a convenience store, which is what this whole building was. But his bar's got a wall down the middle because now it's a bar, but it was a whole convenience store. Well, back in the day, this convenience store used to make sandwiches and whatnot. And this girl lived there. It's called the Crooked Building, too, because it's falling into the Atlantic Ocean. It's right there. So this girl, Betsy, worked there, and she used to make burgers for herself and put a lot of ketchup on it. And people ribbed her that she had too much ketchup, and she used to whistle while she worked. People loved her. So Betsy passed away one day, right? Now she haunts the fucking restaurant now. John showed me on his camera those big Heinz ketchup things that you use to refill little ketchups. It's probably like 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds. It fucking was on the back where the cooks are, and he's got a security camera, and he showed me it on that, and it falls off the counter and it slides 4 or 5 feet to the door and stops, and this door's flat. I know it is a crooked building, but give me a break. And that's never happened before. Since people hear whistling, they smell cologne, perfume, and like I said, she loves ketchup, and she has ketchup, the bottle that moves. So I've been there a couple times and done some stuff, but long story short, he told me that he knows a girl that's doing history tours and weed tours. I don't know. I guess I could do both. I know a lot about weed, but he's doing historical tours. She is actually in Portland and wants to know if I want a job as a tour guide. And Channel 8, a local news company, has been following them around. So I might get more info on that. I'd love to get paid to be a tour guide. Because I do. I mean, I've gotten the tour from the Sarah Orrin Jewett house, and the tour guide was like, "You want to take over?" Because she was America's first female novelist that didn't write love novels or romance novels. She wrote regular books about just life or whatever, and she was the first female in America to do so. She was even friends with what's that famous writer's name? I can't think. Well, she was friends with Longfellow. Of course, he's from Portland anyway. He's from Maine too, but he was friends with someone else. But she has a house right in South Berwick, Maine, where she lived with her mom. Her mom died there, and she died there too. And her name's engraved in the glass window in her bedroom because she wrote it there. Me and Heather got a tour, and I saw her writing desk and all that shit. And she loved the ladies. That's true. She was a lesbian. Sorry, taking a hit. You're right. Nothing wrong with being a lesbian. I love the ladies too. If I was gay, if I was a girl, I'd be a lesbian too. So that's fine. Edit. But no, you're right, Heather. She was. And just besides that, it's full of the mystique. Like when I went to Lizzie Borden's, we took a tour of the Fall River Historical Society, and the guy showed me the mansion, and we're talking about Lizzie, and I said, yeah, she served time at Taunton a little bit, and she preached at the church downtown, and then she had a daycare there and moved up to Maplecroft. He goes, wow, you know your stuff. He goes, do you want to see the murder weapon, the hatchet that was used in the trial? I go, yep. He let me take a picture of it. He goes, no one's supposed to take a picture in here, but you've earned it. You can ask Heather. It's me, him, and Heather and some other older lady. And they thought I was great. It was awesome. And then me and Heather got to go to Lizzie Borden's after. We got a tour of Lizzie Borden's, and the girl goes, the other people that were going to stay here canceled, so you guys are on your own. So usually for Lizzie Borden's back in the day, to rent the whole house was like $1,200. The rooms are like $200 a piece. We got one room. We paid $220 for the murder room, and we got the whole house. And now you can't even rent a room there. Now it's a fucking museum with it's not even like you can't even spend the night there. And I spent the whole night and stayed up all night. I went in the basement and got an orb on the shop vac in the basement. There was a big shop vac. I got a blue orb on that. The whole house shook when I asked Lizzie if she was tired of people asking her if she had, people were talking about her killing her parents, and the whole house shook. Heather used dowsing rods for the first time. Yeah, Betsy, I get the picture. I had it on my phone for a while. I'll show you later. The hatchet. It's just like the hatchet head with a little bit of the handle, but that was the actual one used in the murder trials that they found the pigeon blood and shit on in the basement. They have it in a case at the Historical Society Museum in Fall River, Massachusetts. And the girl's like, you can take a picture. I was like, I fucking tickled pink, you know what I mean? And of course, Lizzie Borden's house in the kitchen, or I'm sorry, in the what do they call it? Dining room where you eat, where we had probably the best breakfast me and Heather ever had. Fucking inside the case, it was molds of the actual skulls, and against the wall were like the trays where they put them on to do the fucking not abortion. What do you do when you open people up? Autopsy. Yeah, the autopsy tables were against the wall, and the skulls and the pictures and oh my god, yeah. I know they turned it into whatever, and we were there when Leanne owned it and the cat was there. But Lizzie Borden's, that'll always have a place in my heart. That is probably my favorite fucking place I've ever been to, especially to spend the night. Pretty wild. Any artifacts from any locations, Adam? Have any? Yes, actually, King. That's a great question. Thank you. And like I said, if anybody has any more questions, I didn't see it. Please, I'm doing a lot here. I'm drinking a beer, taking a hit, and looking at my phone and you guys. So feel free to ask again. Yes, artifacts from locations. When I was 2017, newly single, a couple months before I met Heather, around Halloween time. I was single after 7 years and decided that's when the things really started for me. It was 2016, 17. It's when I started going to places and researching. I was still singing in a heavy metal band, writing songs, but for the most part, I decided to go look up cool historic and haunted shit because I've always been into it, and I kind of drifted away, and here I am today. But to get back to your question, photo of the axe, yes, I still have it, Nicole. I'll share that on my Facebook at some point. I looked up Herman Webster Mudgett, aka Howard Henry Holmes, H.H. Holmes, America's first documented serial killer. He admitted to killing, I think, like 60 people. Supposedly he was caught of killing like 120, but supposedly he possibly killed up to 300, they say. This is not, anyway, you guys know about H.H. Holmes, I would think. The murder castle that fucking American Horror Story is based off of. All that's him. He's a fucking genius. I know he's a sick bastard, but he was pretty smart because he used to basically kill these people and then sell their bones to science labs to use, so that people would use their bones for experiments. So not only would he kill them for the satisfaction, but then you get money out of it. He got away with it for so fucking long. So I went to his house. That's no shit. You can Google it, Atlas Obscura it. You can go on my page if you don't believe me. I have no reason to lie or bullshit to any of you. I don't get paid enough to lie or kiss ass. I went to his house. It's I believe an 1854 old white European clap building house, 2-story house with a basement. Nothing spectacular. It does look beautiful because it's old and white. Heather's probably looking up the picture right now, I'm sure. If you are looking up Heather, it's either on our Atlas Obscura pictures of mine, or it's underneath Historic New Hampshire, for as far as my pictures go. So we went there, Or I went there. I went there solo in my Mustang when I had it. I had a 2004 Mustang, 2007 Mustang GT, and I went there. And I was like, fuck it. It was like 3 hours from where I live. Not, maybe 2 hours. And I went there on a whim, on a weekend day. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And because right across the street is Gilmington Academy, where he went to school, where he was put in the closet with a skeleton that made him fantasize about skeletons, where he even admitted in his book that's where he really got his itch. Also, in that same parking lot across from his house, literally across from his house, is the Gilmington Church where he attended with his family. And then in front of that is the Gilmington Library where he got his books from. So his whole life is right there. So I show up. And for those of you that know me, which none of you really do, I guess, personally, but Heather doesn't. She knows she can contest to this. I'll get right out. And I'm just like, yeah, full on. Until I see a no trespassing sign, I'm right up. What's up? You know what I mean? So I walk right to the house, and there's an older lady out there, and looks like she's got wooden shingles. She's shellacking or whatever. And I go, oh, this is it, huh? And she goes, you here because of H.H. Holmes? I go, yes, ma'am. And she goes, yep, there it is. There's me in front of the house. Great picture, Heather. Number 500 in Gilmington Road, Gilmington, New Hampshire. Yeah, if you look in that white house, there's me in the doorway. You see the bricks I'm standing on? She see the pile of bricks in back of her. Those are all bricks that she put into the walkway. And to get to your story, King, I have one of the original bricks that was in that walkway. She goes, no, don't you do any satanic rituals with this? I go, no, ma'am, not with this. And she laughed. I go, I only use the best goats for that. And she laughed again. And I still got the brick. It's a chunk brick. It's not a whole brick, but it's the brick. And he was, she knew a little bit about it. She said that he was kept upstairs, and when he was a bad boy upstairs in the cellar, which I read about in the book that he was, The Devil in the White City. So yeah, there's me and the owner. Wow, Heather, you are right on fucking top. That's me and her. That's her shellacking the fucking shingles because I don't bullshit you fuckers. I got no reason to. And there's the bricks up front. There's my Mustang. If you look up top, that little yellow dot, that's the back of my Loretta. It's my Mustang. That's so killer. Heather's right on top of shit. Me with my Megadeth shirt, which I saw at Boston that year in right next to Fenway for the first time ever. So yeah, that's H.H. Holmes' house. That's America's first serial killer, which a lot of people think he was Jack the Ripper. I don't think he possibly could have. It's a lot of places to travel. But yeah, a lot of things are based on him, loosely and figuratively, so to speak. And that was his house, man. Yeah, he was rich, but he got rich on his own, man. He was poor growing up, but he got rich later on because he stole from people. He was also a grave robber. He dug people up, stole their money that they got buried with. He convinced people to let him get insurance on them and fake their death, and he split the insurance, but he'd actually kill them so he get to keep the insurance money because he just, yeah, I'm not actually watching SmackDown, unfortunately. Heather probably is, though. So yeah, I guess I get that artifact. I do have some acorns from like the back of Walgreens in Salem. It's called Proctor Hill. People think the witches were all hung on the top of Proctor Hill, but if you do research, because I'm a researcher, it's right in back of Walgreens. There's a little rinky-dink hill with no memorial, no money to get in, no signs, no cigarette butts, nothing crazy. And it's just a little hill, and that's where they think that they hung them because they say that they wouldn't go on with the hill carrying a body. So that's the H.H. Holmes murder castle, Heather. Great picture. And now it's a post office. I want to go because it's American Post Office. You can visit it, and they won't let you dig there because it's U.S. property. But that's what the castle looked like. There were stores. He ran a pharmacy on the bottom. But we have chosen to return a few artifacts. That's right, Heather. We have a couple of them I felt about. I probably shouldn't have taken. I brought one back to Western, because there's an Eastern and a Western cemetery in Maine and Portland. They're both really old. Western's 1800s, not 1600s like Eastern. And Western's got no fences. You can walk in Western all day long. And that's where originally Longfellow's parents were supposed to go. But it's an empty crypt. It says Longfellow. But there's a grave there that they call the witch's grave, even though I could be a bishop, they say, as well. It's all written in Latin. It used to have a cross on it, but it's all gone now. The cross is broken off. It looks like shit. It really does. And I took a rock from there, and I brought a rock back. And I actually wrote a sign saying, I'm sorry for anything I've caused. And I left some money and I think some roaches and some sticks and stuff underneath the sign. And I left it on the stone, and that's in Western Cemetery. That's in Portland. That's up on the hill. You can almost see. Well, yeah, you can actually see Casco Bay from it. And like I said, there's no fences around. You know what's funny? Not funny, but Western Cemetery too has got a mass grave of about 200 Irish men, women, and children that died of the potato famine and the plague and stuff. And they were buried in one big plot. They only have one grave that they all share because they were immigrants back then. It happened in like 17 something or 18 something, 18 like 30. I'm not quite sure on the date, so don't quote me on that. But it says that I got a picture of where it says it's dedicated to the men and women of the Irish faith that passed away in the plague, here and there. There's an inside look at the castle. Yeah, he had trap doors. Yeah, he had trap doors and go down to the basement and stuff. And supposedly, well, not supposedly, but we're back on H.H. Holmes, guys. I'm sorry, I'm everywhere. Heather's sharing pictures in chat of the murder castle, the inside of it. Supposedly, not supposedly, but his parents and his sister are buried in Gilmington, New Hampshire, which unfortunately I didn't get to go to. And there is a road called Mudgett Hill Road, which is his real last name, which my friend Scott's gone to. I haven't. But they think that his cousin drowned in a brook, and they think he might have killed his cousin. That might have been his first victim. That was in New Hampshire before he left. He actually went to Maine for a little bit, went to college in Maine, and then he went back to New Hampshire. And then he went to, I think, Pennsylvania. So long story short, I've been to his grave. Last year, my friend took me in from our birthday road trip, and I went to Yeadon, 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 Pennsylvania. And it's, I should know this. I think it's St. Joseph's Cemetery, if that's right. It's a Catholic cemetery. There's a couple Italian mob bosses buried there. But that's where H.H. Holmes is buried. He wanted to be buried 10 feet deep and in a cement crypt because he didn't want people stealing his body like he used to do. But they dug him up because of his grandson, who I'm friends with. I won't say his name because I don't know if I have the rights or whatever. His last name's Mudgett, though. Jeff, whatever. And he actually dug it up, too, because they wanted to see if it had any relation to Jack the Ripper. So they reburied him, and there's like a little makeshift plot there. But, yeah, me and Scott went to H.H. Holmes' grave in Pennsylvania, America's first documented serial killer. Which is actually my second serial killer's grave I've been to, because I've been to the Boston Strangler's grave, Albert DeSalvo, who strangled and killed a lot of women in Massachusetts back in the 1900s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. He's buried in Peabody, Massachusetts, which used to be part of Salem, and I've been there. And then I've been, see, as far as the serial killers go, I've been to the Smutty Nose victims' graves. Smutty Nose it's what they call like sea lions, like seals. Well, there's an island right on the edge of Maine and New Hampshire where these 2 or 3 ladies got stabbed, and 2 of them died instantly, and 1 died later on. But they're buried in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, side by side. And then I've been to the chameleon serial killer, not his grave, but I've been to the Allenstown 4, the 4 women in barrels. There's 3 women and 1 child, and the child was actually his. It was just like a 6-year-old daughter, and some hunters found her in a barrel, and their 4 graves are in Allenstown, New Hampshire. And I've been to their graves because it's nice to pay remembrance, not to the killers so much as it is the victims. So I've been to a lot of those tied in serial killer type stuff. Like I want to make a trip to Wisconsin, maybe see some Ed Gein stuff. Yeah, Albert DeSalvo as the real Boston Strangler, Fred. I believe so. A lot of people were questioning that. They think maybe he didn't tell the truth and stuff, but I think you're right. I feel like he was. I've been to his grave. I wore a black sheep mask on it and took a picture on his grave. I'll put that somewhere too. My friend took a brick from a haunted place and all sorts of bad luck, so he took it back. Nicole, yeah. See, sometimes too, like I honestly, after I stayed at Lizzie Borden's house, like my mom died like a month later, and I thought that was it. I thought maybe staying at Lizzie's caused my mom to die. So sometimes it depends on what you want to feed into it, I guess. King asks if Maine has many tunnels. Yeah, you know what's funny, King? Massachusetts got a lot of tunnels, but as far as Maine does for sure. Lewiston's got a lot of tunnels that connects their old mills, but I know for a fact Portland does, because one of our radio stations did a report that there's a bowling alley underneath Portland that they built pre-World War, or I think World War I or II, as an escape place for the elite to go in case they had to escape. And there's tunnels underneath Portland. When I did the haunted walk, we talked about that the first snowfall comes and you can see the snow build up around it because the heat rising from it doesn't let it stay in the concrete so much. So yeah, you're welcome, man. Yeah, there's definitely some tunnels underneath there. I think a lot of places have tunnels that we're not aware of. Catacombs, tunnels, whatever you want to call it. So Yeah, that's pretty cool. The police let the real one go. Oh no shit. Oh, you don't think Albert was? Oh, my bad, Fred. I didn't read it right. Oh no shit. You think they let the real one go? I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. See, no kidding. Albert was easy to convict. See, I didn't. I haven't read too much into that. I do like the mob shit too, like all that stuff. But I'll have to do more into that. That's cool. I didn't. No shit. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that. That's very cool. We'll have to look into that. So, like I said, guys, thank you for your questions. It's filling up on chat. I'll try to get back to some other ones here. Oh, there's me with my sheep mask and my skull. I don't know what. Yeah, that's got nothing to do with really too much, but it's still pretty funny. Thank you for sharing that. That's when I used to sing in the band. It's funny. That's a cool picture. I still got that skull in the back of my car. It's missing all the teeth. I used to sing in a metal band and go pretty crazy with shit and write horror movie songs and stuff. Performer. So one thing that I really Betsy Lou, wow, yeah, man, we opened up for Mushroom Head, a band from Cleveland that's like Slipknot. The show's about you. Well, I appreciate that, Heather. Thank you. It is about me, right? Now, you guys hear me every week, and you're like, might as well get to know me. You're right. Fuck it. I hate to be the spotlight on me, but why not, right? Yeah, I got asked. Someone I knew told me she's from high school. She said you should sing out. You should try out for this band. I said, well, I never sang in a band. I've always wanted to. She was looking for a singer. I was like, all right, culling the herd. I go, oh, it's an Exodus song. It means to thin the weak. You know what I mean? Like culling the herd means like if there's a sick sheep amongst the other sheep, you kill it so it doesn't make the other one sick. You know what I mean? Kind of cool. So I show up and they're like, yeah, the old singer took the songs, the lyrics. We have the songs, just no new lyrics. So just freestyle or something. I go, you fucking kidding me? So I smoked a joint real quick, took a shot of Jägermeister, and I start fucking singing. And there, this is a good picture of me. Thank you. Heather used to dig that shit. She went to a couple of shows. My mom, God rest her soul, she was my fucking #1 fan, man. Because I didn't give a fuck either. It's the best part is that just like you hear me now, man. Like I'll tell you, I smoke weed, I drink, and I love heavy metal, and I do what I like, and I tell it like it is because I'd rather not live any other way. I may be, not have a lot to offer right now, and I'm down on my luck when it comes to life, but pretty soon it's going to change, and I'm going to be on top again, and that's all that matters to me because I'm having fun while living. Especially when I died for 36 seconds, I could be dead right now, so it's all borrowed time, and I'm living my life. That's when I opened up for Il Nino, who are from Brazil, and I opened up for Mushroom Head, who's from Cleveland, and they get to watch our set. They signed some autographs, and there's a video of that somewhere, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was fun. I made all 7 songs of my own. I got Return of Lord Vigo, where I made some cool songs and shit like that. I used to go ape shit, man. I used to have some fun with that. That was fun, and and honestly, like, when I do something, I do it to the fullest. And yeah, but I also went to this one place I want to tell you guys about real quick because I was door dashing, and a lot of my favorite stops are when I'm door dashing, I see a place, I go, pause, and I get out and I get a cemetery or something. So in New Hampshire, they get these green signs everywhere, these historical marker signs that date whatever happened in a certain area or whatever. So I stopped at this one in 1891. This deputy sheriff named Charles E. Smith. I think it's Harrington. Is it Harrington or was it Burlington? I thought it was Burlington. Shoot, I may have messed up. All right. I have Harrington, but I'm 90% sure it's Barrington. Yeah, okay, it is Barrington. Okay, so Barrington, 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 not Barrington, Vermont, but Barrington, New Hampshire. I wrote Harrington for some reason. Anyway, so Mr. Smith, the deputy sheriff, was shot in the hip. He was apprehending a horse and buggy thief that was on the loose. And as he got shot in the hip during the shootout, he exclaimed, don't lynch this man. Let him be tried. I'll be fine and whatever. So they put the guy in custody, took the sheriff to the hospital. He died 3 days later of infection because of the gunshot wound. And the guy that shot him escaped jail in New Hampshire and was never heard from again. Talk about the irony. So that's pretty wild. So it's the cool things that you see. And that's, like I said, that's in Barrington, New Hampshire. Deputy Sheriff Charles E. Smith shootout site, and it's a big green placard. So between that, like I said, I mentioned a couple places in the beginning. I'm just trying to reach out and educate you guys on some really just real cool shit. because you don't need to go to some 1800s asylum or some jail or some old school fucking penthouse or asylum. Like all that stuff's great. Like I've been to Eastern State Penitentiary, America's first penitentiary, the world's first penitentiary in Pennsylvania, at Al Capone's grave. I've been to, like I said, Lizzie Borden's. I've been. That's all great, but there's literally for every place you know, there's literally 50 more places that you don't know that need love, that are free and that are willing to be heard of, man, that just want to be known and just want to be heard and given money to be helped out. And I think there's so many places out there that just steal the limelight, and it just sucks. And that's why I go off my own and I do my own thing. The best part is there's no line. There's no fee. And like the other day, I stopped at this 1887 church in Kennebunk with Heather, and the dude gave us a free tour. Like, I didn't have to pay a dime, dude. I didn't have to pay a fucking dime. Why pay $95 to go on a tour when you can just go for free? And the dude was he told me, he's like, you got to calm down a little bit. You're wicked hyper. Heather's like, you see what I deal with? So, yeah, I love it. Like I said, and I'm not taking anything away from these popular places or places that draw, because that's great too. And I love them too. Like the Axe House in Iowa, Vasilla, Iowa, like all that's great. But there's so many out there that just need love and support that don't have it. Oh, there's me at wrestling. There's me wearing my black sheep mask that I wore at the grave. Some dude came up to me and asked me a bunch of questions in front of me and Heather and Chris Sanders and Jason Aloya. He asked me a bunch of questions about just different stuff. I got to plug my show and stuff, which was pretty neat. Oops, what happened to the chat? I lost it. I lost my chat. That's weird. So I can't go back. I can't go to chat for some reason. Let me try it again. So I lost chat, guys. Someone asked me a question, and I don't know what it was because I can't see chat now, which really, really sucks. Let me try this. Let me try to. I think it was. There you go. Killer. I'm back in it. Oh, that's right. Heather's going to be on Enter the Dark next Tuesday with my fellow compadre from the Warren Legacy Foundation, Mr. Father Kenneth Torres. So check that out. My girl Heather's got a lot of good shit. She's not just Adam's girlfriend. She's Heather the Witch, and she's got a lot of cool shit to talk about. So definitely tune into that, tune into her show, into Nicole's show, all that good stuff. What was the question about? Someone said a question I can't see because there's too much going on in chat. Shit. Don't cut me off yet, King. I get 10 minutes. Hold on. Can you guys, everybody in chat, just stop for like 3 seconds so I can get past these pictures and find out what that fucking question was? Because I can't remember what it was. Appreciate you all for doing that. Shit, I lost it. I don't know. Whoever asked that question I didn't answer, please ask again. I don't have like a secretary or nothing with me, so it's hard to keep up with questions and whatnot. Oh, that's cool. Our Bishop Matthew will be on Heather or Nicole's show. Oh, there we go. What made you a believer, I think was a question. That's right. Thank you. Oh, yes, that's right. That was what it was. And that was from George, I believe. Was that George Cannon that said that? Or was it Charles Fulton? I forget. It may have been Bruce Bartley. One of you guys asked what made me a believer. What I said on a lot of podcasts that I've been on when it comes to that stuff, when I was about 9 years old, my grandfather died, 1988, my mom's dad. I was close with him. The night he passed away, he woke me up from a dream and got me up and wanted to go for a walk with me. I went down to the hallway of the trailer I lived in Elizabeth, Maine, and got a glass of milk or water or whatever. And he said he loved me, and he told me to believe and love him and believe in God. And he disappeared. And I woke up the next day, and I just obviously thought I dreamt and thought nothing of it. And then a couple of years passed, and my sister, who's 6 years younger than me, told me that she saw him that night in the ceiling talking to her before she left. And then I told her about mine. So that's when I thought, well, fuck, if she saw her, I saw her too. And then throughout the years, because a couple of years later, my dad's dad, my other grandfather, died right in front of me. He flatlined, like he vomited, you know what I mean? Bubbled at the mouth, foamed at the mouth, pissed his pants, the whole nine. When you die, it's not pretty. All his shit came out, literally and figuratively, right on his birthday for the most part. That happened at CMMC in Lewiston. That's where Stephen King goes to the hospital when he got hit by that car and shit. So, like I said, my first ghost experience was 9, for first spirit experience. And about 11, 12 years old is when I saw my first person die in front of me, my human casualty. It was his birthday, and I went and brought him a card. My French grandfather, and he used to call me Faslet. Ross, you know what that means, ugly face in French. He called me the Faslet. So I said, happy birthday, Faslet. And he had stuff on. He was dying of cancer. And yeah, man, he looked over at me. And that was it. He gurgled and fucking threw up and puked, and his whole body was heaving, and everybody was scurrying everybody out of there. And I just kind of got lost, tranquilized in the shuffle, and just kind of stared at him, and saw his body convulse. And I literally watched his fucking soul leave out of his body. So that's why, like, when people say they want to see ghosts and they're in this for all the death and the demons and shit, well, you know what? I'm willing to bet none of you fuckers saw someone die in front of you. So, you know, it's fun, but it's not funny. And I'm not trying to deter anybody away, but until you've watched someone die in front of you, or you've died yourself in a car accident like I've died. I woke up from with Heather the other day. I had night tremors. I woke up out of the dead sleep, thought I was having a heart attack. I sat on the toilet, thought I had the shit. I didn't know what I was doing. My heart was pounding. I was having tremors because I had a dream that I was back in the ambulance after getting hit in a head-on collision and fucking dying for 36 seconds last summer. In my mom's car, that when she died, she left me. That's gone now because the guy that hit me had no insurance. He's gone. I ended up in the swamp in Scarborough, Maine. I still have night tremors and dreams about being in the ambulance, having my shirt cut open, dying, having the paddles on my chest, having them ask me where the fuck I am, who I am, not getting my phone or wallet on me, so them not knowing who to call, and me being in the hospital for an hour and a half. So yeah, that's been some real shit. I'm in this for the reasons that I want to be in this for, because I want to know that why am I here, and if I do die, do I go on? Was that my mom that talked to me? Was that my grandfather when my grandfather died? Was that not in vain? Why would I see that at 9 years old, 12 years old? When I go to hospitals now, why do I have panic attacks? So there's crazy shit. Like I say, people are in it because they want to have fun, and it's a hobby, and then it's a weekend thing, and Halloween fun and mask and all that shit. That's all great. But when you really live the real shit and you see someone fucking die, and you really, it's someone close to you, and you have to like bury your fucking mother, and you almost die yourself. It's a lot different, man, I tell you. And I want to be in it. And you think it would deter me away or make me hate God, but I love God more than anything now, because I want to live, and I want there to be more. There's no way that we're just plant food. There's no way the organisms, the oxygen, the water, all the stuff we need to sustain ourselves in gravity is just here because, well, it's just here. No, fuck that. And people can believe what they want, good for them, but I believe in God, and we're going to go somewhere. Maybe not the holy roller God that you see on zigzag commercials, but there's some sort of feature up there that's working out for us. And I got to believe that, because I want to see my mom again. And if people don't like it, then fucking fuck off. I don't need to hear your opinion. Don't tune into my show. You know, you don't have a radio show, do you? No, so shut the fuck up. So, but yeah, this hour flew by. I got a couple more minutes left. That's me and Ronda Rousey, by the way. That's the first female into any martial arts Hall of Fame ever. She's in the UFC Hall of Fame. She's knocked bitches out. She's a WWE champion. Me and my mom and Heather met her the year before my mom passed away in Bangor, Maine. She signed my championship belt. And my mom rubbed her thigh because she was cold. Her teeth were chattering, and like 3 security guys almost jumped on my mom. That was funny. Heather gave her a hug. So yeah, that's the Ronda Rousey, man. No, she can't wrestle, but she can still kick anybody's ass. She could fucking throw down. She could fucking knock people out. If it came to fighting, she'd kill any girl in WWE. She'd kill Charlotte all fucking day. But I love her. She was so sweet to me. When she came by, she was in the car, and she looked over. I go, Rhonda. And she looked over. You can ask Heather. And she came right out and walked right to us, just like Braun Strowman did, just like Ronda Rousey did, just like the Boogeyman did, The Miz. Who else have I met? Let's see. I've met Natalia Neihart, who is Jimmy Neidhart's daughter. I've met Kane. I've met The Big Show. I shook hands with The Rock, Rocky Maivia, Dwayne Johnson. You guys ever heard of him or not? I've met Alexa Bliss. I met Chris Jericho. Got pictures with them, got autographs with them. I met the Hurricane, Shane Helms. I've met Rob Zombie. I've met, Lacey Evans. I've met Brian Urlacher. I've met Rex Grossman. I yelled at Tom Brady and also Kraft's, the owner of the Patriots, and Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. I mean, I've seen some fucking cool people. I've met Dan Aykroyd. Thank you very much. I walked with Dan Aykroyd in Massachusetts, Peabody, at Crystal Skull signing, and I told him that I was close to UFOs in Benny and Barney Hill in New Hampshire, and I was a ghost hunter, and I met Annabelle. This is right after Annabelle. He's like, one of them passed away, right? I go, yeah, Lorraine. He's like, oh, good people. You can ask Heather. I go at it. I'm not scared to say what's up. I love these people. I'm starstruck. At the same time, I'm not afraid to go right up to them and be like, what's up? Can I get a selfie? Like, I don't care. Especially when you live one life, man. Like I said, after dying for a little bit and having your family die around you, thank God for Heather. And Ross giving me the channel. I don't get going soon. Ross, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I remember it was last September. I came on your show, and right after you're like, there's me, Heather, and Dan Aykroyd. You were like, you gotta have your own show. You gotta have your own show. I'm like, oh, I don't know. No one wants to listen to me. And it's been almost 6 months now, and we're still doing it. So that's killer. Thank you, Betsy. I appreciate that. Is awesome. I appreciate Not Selfish. It's just hard for me because I love having guests and I love finding out new shit about people. But tonight I just didn't want to. I wanted to talk about, like I said, those places me and Heather go, which we go to those places, and so much all that stuff. It's a big part of my life. Every day I'm trying to find something new. I want to not one up people, but I want to educate people and go, hey, just let you know this exists. This thing down the road, that's there for a reason. Go check it out. And it's the people that are into this shit. I don't expect everyday people that collect whatever or do whatever to be into what I'm into. I get it. Whatever the fuck. I don't understand why. I think it's fucking rad, all this shit, and I can't understand how no one's into it. But I respect it. And for those that are, I have a plethora of knowledge, man. I know where vampires are buried. I know where witches were hung. I know where mermaids are seen, where UFOs were spotted. I know where famous people have died or wrote books. I know where movies have been filmed. And I just want to share the knowledge with people who respect and want it too. That's all, man. So when your anniversary, can't wait. Yeah, that'll be September, right? Or October. Vampire Grave. Yeah, there's some Vampire Grave. Richmond, Connecticut too has got some rich buyers. I'm running out of time. That's for another show. Earl Morgan, great information. Thank you so much, dude. You listen a lot. I appreciate all you in chat. You guys are my fucking blood. You guys are my hardcore. I'm talking to Betsy Lou right off the bat, former Witch in Nature. Earl Morgan, UFO Fred Richards, who was a guest on with me. He's going to come back on too because he knows his shit about UFOs and cool stuff about Maine. Hawk Johnson, all-around woodsman and cryptic seeker. Pleasure having you, brother. Hopefully you can tune in again. We're here every Friday at 8. Charles Fulton, glad you checked in. Nicole Gaspard, as always, pleasure. Witch and Heather, my girl, Heather Caminiti from Witch and Life Guide Show. Thank you. King Ross, he's the one that runs all this. He's the one that gives me an hour every week to blab and talk bullshit to you guys. George Cannon, gotta love George. He's always there. Bruce Bartley, which is great. No, who are we missing? We're missing Melissa Keene, Terry York, and Ken Bull. So shame on you fuckers. But no, seriously, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna go, I think, drink a beer, call it a night. It's 9:00 here in Maine. So thank you guys for tuning in. Little Fish, I don't know who that is. It's a cool name. Yeah, you missed it. That's fine. It'll be on Spotify tomorrow, Anchor FM, iTunes, all that shit, and then as well as YouTube. Real quick, Historically Haunted channel on YouTube is where you have all the archives for this Historically Haunted vodcast, as well as shows I've been on as far as that stuff, as well as for me, personally, it's all individual words. Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter. That's my other YouTube channel. That's where you see me going to Salem, Gettysburg, Iowa, all that stuff. So be sure and check that out too. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys. Hopefully you guys dug some cool shit. Hope you guys learned some shit. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't write anything down. I literally freestyle this every fucking week. I literally don't have I probably should write down some agenda thing, but I kind of don't because I figure I can just talk because I'm pretty good when I'm not on the spotlight. And right now is not so bad because you're not seeing me. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned some shit. Hopefully it wasn't boring and you guys liked it and you guys can tune in every week. I'll have a great guest next week. Chelsea Gill from Paraflix will be my guest. My vodcast tomorrow, not sure if I'm going to do it or not on Facebook. I may just do it just me. I may be on it with just Heather and me. Oh, yeah, someone mentioned Dogman earlier as well. I believe that was Hawk Johnson, or was it Fred, about Dogman. Yeah, that's right, Dogman. Dogman's cool as well. Of course, I like the original werewolf stuff, like that kid in Mexico that had the furry face. But then there's also the killer canines, like that, what's that dog they did an episode here. They did an episode of the dog there. I can't think for the life of me. The Turner Beast, they're the half canine breed wolf dog or whatever, stuff like that. That's kind of cool. I believe in all that shit. It's harder to believe. It's harder to prove it doesn't exist than it does. So I believe in everything, man. You tell me there's a troll underneath a bridge and I'm going to camp out looking for that fucker. Because I'm the type of guy, I believe in fairies. I believe in all that shit. So, Hawk Johnson's your hero. Awesome, Little Fish. That's killer. You're both new to the show, but that's killer. It's nothing wrong with that. We got room for many. So yeah, we are ending it a little bit late. Like I said, it was just kind of me. Unless you guys have any last questions or anything. Also, don't please go on Facebook and Historically Haunted Show, and then Historically Haunted Vodcast with a V. That's my other show. That's on Facebook through StreamYard. And this is all through Paranormal King Radio Network, as you know. Don't forget to watch and listen to all their great shows that they have. My paranormal team is Historically Haunted Paranormal. It's just me and Heather, pretty much. And then, of course, me. I'm Adam Begin, Begin. I'm on Facebook. Pretty skeptical on who I let in, but if I let you in, I'll probably teach you something. So if you're not scared to fucking learn, then man up. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. You got better things to do on a Friday than listen to me talk about nothing. So have a good show, everybody. Or thanks for this. Have a good show, everybody. See how stupid I am. Have a great show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully this didn't suck too bad. And we'll have someone to talk to next week. I really do know what I'm talking about most of the time. I love you guys. Seriously, thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. And thanks a lot. Hello, this is Adam Begin, and I'm the host of Historically Haunted Show, where I talk about some very rare historical and haunted locations that I visited. I also interview some of the very best in the paranormal and cryptozoology field. So tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Paranormal King Radio Network. And prepare to be educated about the unknown.